Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle.
I'm just heading to my office.
Your office? On
Yes,
this base?
Yes, Building 7 at Fort Meade.
Huh, okay, sure. I'm gonna need to see some ID and step out. Now.
I have my credentials right here.
Yeah, I said out. Hands where I can see them. You don't get to argue with me.
Oh my God.
Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle. I'm just heading to my office. Your office on this base. Yes, Building 7. Okay, sure, I'm gonna need to see some ID and step out now. I have my credentials right here. I said out, hands where I can see them. You don't get to argue with me. Officer Derek Holloway had no idea what he just walked into. In the next 47 minutes, his career would fall apart. Federal agents would be called. He would face charges that could put him in prison for up to 30 years. He would owe $16.2 million. The man he just pulled a gun on was not some random person who wandered onto the base. He was Lieutenant General Marcus D. Thompson, a 3-star general, one of the highest-ranking black officers in the entire United States Navy. General Thompson had served for 34 years. He commanded over 12,000 people. He had direct access to the Pentagon. His security clearance was higher than most people in Washington would ever see. And the dashcam on Officer Holloway's car was recording everything. Before I continue, let me ask you something. Have you ever been treated unfairly by someone who thought they had power over you? Drop your answer in the comments below. But Officer Holloway had no clue who he just pulled a weapon on. Lieutenant General Marcus D. Thompson was not just any officer. He was the commanding officer of Naval Surface Force Atlantic. That means he was in charge of every surface ship in the Atlantic Ocean, every single one. He graduated from the Naval Academy in 1989. He earned a master's degree in strategic studies. He served in the Persian Gulf. He served in Afghanistan. He led missions that most people will never hear about. Only 1 out of every 10,000 military members ever reached 3-star rank. General Thompson was one of them. He reported directly to the Chief of Naval Operations. He had meetings at the Pentagon. He knew the Secretary of Defense by name. He had been married for 28 years. He had 2 grown children. His son was serving as a Navy lieutenant. His troops called him a soldier's general, tough but fair. On this Tuesday morning in March, General Thompson was just driving to work. The same drive he made every day for 14 months, through the same gate, in the same car with base stickers on the windshield. Now here's what happened next. Officer Derek Holloway had been working base security for just 11 months, but he already had a reputation, and not a good one. He was 27 years old. He worked for a private company called Secure Force Solutions. The Navy hired this company to guard the gates. Holloway was not military. He had no military training at all. Before this job, he worked MAL security for 2 years. Then he watched cameras at a casino for 6 months. That was his entire background. In just 11 months, 7 people filed complaints against him. Every single complaint came from a minority service member or their family. In October, he held a black lieutenant's wife for 45 minutes. He said her ID was expired. It was not expired. In December, he stopped a Hispanic Master Chief. He made the man prove he belonged on base. The Master Chief was in full uniform. In February, he accused an Asian American commander of stolen valor. He told her to take off her uniform jacket. She was a decorated combat veteran. Other security guards had a nickname for him. They called him Deputy Derek. It was not a compliment. They said he acted like he had more power than he really did. The complaints were filed, but nothing was done. The company wanted to keep the contract. They ignored the warnings. But this time, Derek Holloway picked the wrong car, the wrong driver, and the wrong day. Type accountability in the comments if you think companies should be held responsible for employees like this. It was Tuesday, March 14, 2023. The time was 6:47 in the morning. The location was Main Gate Alpha at Naval Station Norfolk in Virginia. This is the largest naval base in the world. Over 80,000 people pass through every day. There are 14 piers and 75 ships. The morning was clear and cool, about 52 degrees. Traffic was light for this time of day. The security shift had just changed. Fresh officers were at the gates. Officer Holloway was stationed at Lane 4. This lane was for senior personnel, cars with special clearance. 3 security officers worked the main gate. About 8 or 10 cars were lined up behind General Thompson. At 6:47, a black government sedan pulled into Lane 4. The base sticker was on the windshield. A Department of Defense sticker was visible. A 3-star flag plate was on the front. General Thompson was wearing civilian clothes. Senior officers are allowed to do this. Holloway walked toward the car before it even stopped. He did not look at the stickers. He did not look at the flag plate. His hand was already moving toward his gun. He had not said a single word yet. People in nearby cars would later say they felt something was wrong. The way Holloway approached that car felt different. It felt targeted. They were right. If stories like this matter to you, hit subscribe right now. Word count 240. Confrontation escalates 6:00-9:00. Holloway reached the car window. Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle. General Thompson stayed calm. I'm just heading to my office. Your office here on this base? Yes, Building 7. Building 7 was Fleet Command Headquarters, the center of operations for the entire Atlantic Fleet. Holloway did not care. I'm gonna need to see some ID and step out, now. Thompson reached for his credentials. I have them right here. I said out, hands where I can see them. Thompson asked for a supervisor. Holloway refused. I am the authority at this gate. Thompson tried again. He spoke clearly. I'm Lieutenant General Thompson, 3-star. You can call operations. They will confirm who I am. Holloway laughed. Sure you are. Everyone's a general today. He did not call anyone. He did not check the credentials. Instead, he drew his weapon. Out of the vehicle, now. Thompson got out slowly. His hands were visible the whole time. Holloway kicked his legs apart. He pushed the general against the car. Thompson spoke again. You're making a serious mistake, officer. Holloway pressed harder. The only mistake is you thinking that uniform means anything. He tried to put handcuffs on the general. Another security officer named Rodriguez walked over. He saw who was being held against the car. His face went white. Derek Dik, stop. Do you know who this is? Holloway did not look up. I don't care if he's the president. In the next lane, Captain Jennifer Walsh got out of her car. She identified herself. She told Holloway to stand down. Behind them, a master chief started recording on his phone. A civilian contractor called base operations from his cell phone. Holloway kept going. His knee was in Thompson's back. The gun was still out. Thompson was not fighting back at all, but Holloway was yelling like he was. What Holloway did not know was that within 90 seconds, the entire chain of command would know exactly what was happening, and they were already on their way. Wait until you hear what happened next. At 6:53, base operations got the call. At 6:54, an armed response team was sent out. They were not coming for Thompson, they were coming for Holloway. At 6:56, Captain Morrison arrived. He was the base security director. He came personally. Within the hour, a 4-star admiral at the Pentagon was told what happened. Captain Morrison walked up to the scene. General Thompson was still being held against the car. Morrison looked at Thompson, then he saluted. He turned to Holloway. His voice was ice cold. Officer, release that man immediately. Holloway did not let go. Sir, this individual refused to comply. Morrison cut him off. That individual commands every surface vessel in the Atlantic. He outranks everyone on this entire base, including me, including my boss, including my boss's boss. Holloway's face went pale. Morrison spoke again. General Thompson, my deepest apologies, sir. The witnesses were ready to talk. Captain Jennifer Walsh said she saw the whole thing from her car. General Thompson was calm from the first moment. He said who he was, multiple times. Officer Holloway refused to listen. Master Chief Torres had been through this gate 1,000 times. He said, I've never seen anyone treated like that, ever, and I've seen this officer before. He's got a problem. especially with certain people. David Chen was a contractor in another car. He called operations the second Holloway drew his weapon. There was no reason for any of this. The general wasn't doing anything wrong. He was just black. That's the only difference between him and the cars that went through fine. The evidence was everywhere. Holloway's dashcam recorded 11 minutes and 34 seconds. The gate booth had cameras from multiple angles. Master Chief Torres recorded over 6 minutes on his phone. The gate logs showed Thompson's credentials were valid and current. Holloway's body camera had stopped working. He said it broke, but IT experts looked at it later. They found 8 minutes of footage. They also found that Holloway turned off the camera himself 2 minutes into the stop. That became another charge, tampering with evidence. NCIS agents arrived within 20 minutes. That stands for Naval Criminal Investigative Service. They handle serious crimes on military bases. Secure Force Solutions was called, the company that hired Holloway. The Pentagon's Inspector General was told within the hour. Holloway was pulled off duty immediately. They took his badge. They took his credentials. He tried to explain, "I was just following protocol." Captain Morrison stared at him. "Protocol? Show me the rule that says you draw a weapon on a flag officer with valid ID who is doing nothing wrong." Holloway tried again. "I didn't know, I thought." Morrison, Scared? You thought what exactly? Think very carefully about what you say next. Holloway went silent. By 7:15, less than 30 minutes after General Thompson tried to drive to work, Derek Holloway's career was over. His freedom was now in question, and the entire Department of Defense was watching. Let me know in the comments, what would you have done if you saw this happening? NCIS Special Agent Patricia Morneau took the lead. She had 18 years of experience. The FBI Civil Rights Division was also called in. This became a joint investigation. The CEO of Secure Force Solutions called the base commander within 2 hours. Everything moved fast. All video evidence was secured in the first hour. 14 witnesses gave statements that same day. Holloway's complete work file was pulled. They unsealed all 7 previous complaints against him. The pattern was clear. Every single complaint came from a non-white service member. Holloway told investigators that Thompson's credentials were not visible. The gate camera showed they were. You could see the stickers from 50 feet away. Holloway said Thompson refused to say who he was. The dashcam audio caught Thompson saying his name and rank in the first 45 seconds. Holloway said he felt threatened. Every piece of footage showed Thompson calm, hands visible, voice quiet. Witnesses confirmed he was completely cooperative. Holloway said his body camera broke on its own. Experts proved he turned it off himself 2 minutes into the stop. That was obstruction of justice, another charge added. Secure Force Solutions fired Holloway immediately. The official reason was gross violation of protocol and discriminatory behavior. The U.S. Attorney's Office filed federal charges. The list was long: violating someone's civil rights while acting as authority, assault, false imprisonment, obstruction of justice, tampering with evidence. If convicted on all charges, Holloway faced up to 30 years in federal prison. General Thompson also filed a civil lawsuit. He asked for $16.2 million in damages. Holloway could not believe what was happening. At first, he said, "This is being blown out of proportion." Then he got angry. "I was just doing my job. I'm the victim here." Then he got desperate. He tried to hire a lawyer who had worked with military cases. Multiple law firms said no. His own family put out a statement. They distanced themselves from him. The same day this happened, General Thompson went back to work. When he walked into his building, his staff gave him a standing ovation. Secure Force Solutions had their contract suspended. The Navy wanted to review everything. The base commander read a formal apology at an all-hands meeting. The Pentagon announced they would review how all bases use private security. But the story was just getting started, because before the sun went down, every phone on that base had seen the footage, and so had the rest of America. If you believe everyone deserves to be treated fairly, hit subscribe now. By 10 a.m., Master Chief Tours had uploaded his video to Twitter. His caption said, "They just did this to a 3-star general." By 11 a.m., the video had 50,000 views. Veterans started sharing it everywhere. By 1 p.m., it hit 500,000 views. The hashtag Justice for General Thompson was trending. By 6 p.m., 2.3 million people had watched. CNN, MSNBC, and Fox were all running stories. By midnight, 11 million people across all platforms had seen what happened. The numbers kept growing. Twitter had over 11 million views and 340,000 shares. TikTok videos about the case got 8.7 million views combined. Facebook had 4.1 million views and 89,000 shares. YouTube News coverage hit 6.2 million views in the first week. The story was on Reddit's front page for 3 days straight. People were angry. A retired admiral said, "In 40 years of service, I have never seen something this disgraceful against any officer." A Gold Star mother whose son died in service wrote, "My son gave his life wearing that uniform, and this is how they treat our leaders. This is how they treat a black man who served 34 years." A senator on the Armed Services Committee promised answers. "This was not a mistake. This was a pattern, and it ends now." 17 generals who were still serving signed a joint statement condemning what happened. The Washington Post put it on the front page. Military Times called it a systemic failure. BBC, Al Jazeera, and news outlets around the world covered the story. Secure Force Solutions released an apology. The CEO said, "We failed. This officer should never have been in this position." Holloway tried to fight back. He wanted to do an interview claiming he was the real victim. No one would put him on air. He started a GoFundMe for his legal bills. It was taken down in hours after 400 reports. He deleted all his social media. 3 days later, Holloway walked into a local news station. He wanted to tell his side. He walked out in handcuffs. There was a warrant for his arrest. Type "Justice served" if you think this was the right outcome. Federal charges were filed on March 17th, just 3 days after the incident. The civil lawsuit came on March 24th. Thompson was suing Holloway and Secure Force Solutions. The claims included civil rights violations, assault, false imprisonment, and emotional distress. The lawsuit also said the company was negligent. They knew Holloway had problems. They hired him anyway. During discovery, emails from inside Secure Force came out. Multiple supervisors had flagged Holloway's behavior. They recommended firing him. Those recommendations were ignored. The 7 previous complaints were exposed. The company knew about the pattern. They did nothing. Training records showed Holloway failed his bias training twice. He was still allowed to keep working. Investigators found similar problems at 3 other facilities where Secure Force worked. The money added up fast. Secure Force Solutions agreed to pay $12.4 million. It was the largest settlement in the company's history. Holloway personally owed $2.8 million in a judgment against him. Punitive damages added another $1 million. The total was $16.2 million. But the money was just part of it. Holloway was banned from every military base in the country forever. He could never work in law enforcement or security again. As part of his plea deal, he could not own guns anymore. Secure Force Solutions lost 4 federal contracts. Those contracts were worth $89 million a year. The CEO was forced to resign. The company had to do civil rights training for the next 5 years. An outside group would check to make sure they actually did it. For the criminal case, Holloway pleaded guilty to 3 charges: violating civil rights, assault, obstruction of justice. He was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. He could apply for parole after 6 years. After prison, he would have 5 years of supervised release. He would be listed in Virginia's Civil Rights Offender Registry for the rest of his life. Holloway never apologized publicly. His lawyer said he accepts responsibility and hopes to rebuild his life after serving his sentence. His family still said he was not racist. They called it a mistake. General Thompson spoke about the case. This was never about money. This was about making sure no service member, regardless of rank, has to go through what I went through. We trust these officers to protect us. That trust was broken. Thompson donated part of his settlement to groups that help military families. But he knew money could not fix everything. In April 2023, General Thompson stood at a podium in the Pentagon. The Secretary of Defense was beside him. He spoke clearly. "I've been shot at in combat. I've commanded ships through hurricanes, but lying on the hood of my own car, on my own base, with a gun pointed at my back, that was different. That was personal." He said he could not sleep well for weeks after it happened. His grandchildren saw the video. He had to explain to them why their grandfather was treated that way. Then he asked a question that stuck with everyone. "I have 34 years of service. I have 3 stars. I have a direct line to this building. If this can happen to me, what happens to the young enlisted member just trying to get to work? What happens to the lieutenant who doesn't want to make waves? What happens to the military spouse who has no rank at all?" He had a message for the people in charge. You cannot hire private security and then pretend you're not responsible for what they do. These are your gates. These are your people. Own it. He said what he wanted changed. Required bias training for all contract security, military officers directly watching over contractors, a national list of security officers who were fired for cause. He thanked the people who helped him, Captain Walsh, Master Chief Tors, David Chen. "You didn't look away. That matters more than you know." He thanked his family for 34 years of sacrifice. Then he said his final words. "I didn't serve 34 years for this country to be treated like a threat at its own front door. We're better than this. We have to be." This case showed a bigger problem. A Pentagon study found that black service members are more than twice as likely to have trouble at security gates than white service members. Contract security guards get 40 fewer hours of training than military police. Most victims don't have 3 stars. Most victims don't have a direct line to the Pentagon. Most victims never get justice. This was about who has power and who pays the price when that power is abused. So let me ask you, does it take 3 stars to be treated with dignity at your own workplace? Should it take 11 million views for someone to get justice after being held at gunpoint? How many young service members walked through gates like that before General Thompson and never had the rank or the cameras to prove what happened? Because if we only make changes when a 3-star general is humiliated on video, if we only act when the internet gets angry, if we only care when it's too big to ignore, then we're not fixing anything. We're just waiting for the next Derek Holloway, the next victim, the next injustice. Comment below if you believe contract security should face the same rules as military police. If you think stories like this matter, hit that subscribe button right now. We're going to keep exposing these patterns. We're going to keep demanding accountability. We're going to keep fighting for every person who deserves to go to work without being treated like a criminal. This isn't just about one officer at one gate. It's about all of us and what we're willing to accept. See you in the next one.